Hello there, all you podcast partiers, and welcome to an all new episode of Faux Real. I hope all of you out there are staying healthy, wearing your masks, and doing all you can to fight for justice in all the ways you possibly can. I want to wish all my fellow members of the LGBTQA community and all of our allies a very shiny pride, and to all those who continue to support the BLM movement, in honor of those who have lost their lives due to being black in America and who are actively proactive in tearing down fascism and systemic racism, I thank you. For allies like myself and for all fellow supporters seeking ways to help and boost the signal, please go to tinyurl.com/BLM Forever for an extensive list of resources. On today's episode, I welcome the effervescent Eileen Chase, who is a lifetime entertainer skilled in dance, music, and having the superpower of putting a smile on the face of everyone she interacts with. I was introduced to her by her fantastically oddball performance as a dancing whoopee cushion on the season 15 premiere of America's Got Talent, and I just had to have her on the show. So without further ado, let's make some whoopee with my awesome guest, Eileen Chase. I'm so excited to be talking to you right now. I really am. I'm excited to have you on. This is very cool. We've never met. This is our first time sort of meeting in person, so we have so much to talk about. So you were there yesterday participating in the protest, right? You started at the one that began at the Grove.
Yes.
And you said essentially it was pretty peaceful for the most part. You were essentially safe. You were out of harm's way. You said you spent 6 or 7 hours walking, right?
Yeah, it was about 6 hours. According to my phone, it was about 23,000 steps, 10 miles or so. But yeah, the energy was very unified. It was peaceful. It was mournful and loving. And I feel like that was not reflected in what I saw in the news later last night. That the leaders of the protest were calling for people to not be violent, to not vandalize things. And there was a moment where I saw vandalism happening from an outside group. It was like 5 guys had just come there. They were like tagging their names and such, and immediately people from the protest gathered around them and kind of got in their face saying it wasn't okay and got them to leave.
Good.
And I feel like tensions didn't escalate until later when we were met by police in like full SWAT gear.
Where did that happen?
That's a good question. I'm not exactly sure where we were at that point.
Somewhere along Melrose? Because I know
Britney Spears like exhibit. It was outside the Britney
there's
Spears.
a Britney Spears exhibit? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So wherever.
You mean the pop-up, the Britney Spears pop-up?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
It was like in the parking lot is where I was. And I was headed across the parking lot, and people started running. I guess they'd started firing rubber bullets into the crowd. But before that, I didn't see any rioting. I saw people being respectful. There were people out there giving out waters and food.
That's amazing.
And it was just, I felt it was really well organized, and that the energy and the collectiveness should have been highlighted on the news.
And yet it never is. And Unfortunately, we have to turn to social media to see the real truth being presented. And as ubiquitous as social media has become, as overwhelming as it's become in these types of situations, it is unbelievably necessary to get the real word out and the real truth and talk about what's really going on. I I mean, as many people I'm sure have been glued to my phone for the past 4 days, 4 or 5 days, and you know, completely unsurprisingly, the president just tweeted something as we were joining this chat that I want to just rip my eyeballs out. It's absolutely unbelievable the level of scum and vileness that one entity of a person can contain in a human vessel. Not that he's very human, but it's unbelievable.
Yeah. What was the tweet? I haven't seen it.
It is that the United States of America will be designating Antifa as a terrorist organization.
Okay.
Awesome. Just that's great. Just awesome stuff. It's just
Classic.
wow. Let's talk about fun, good stuff. Like you dancing
also,
around.
Like anybody listening, I mean, I'm talking about the protests, but I really wanted to just go yesterday to uplift voices of people of color. So even when I'm saying my experience, I'm like, this is my experience from a place, of privilege. And I hope people are reading the accounts of people of color.
Absolutely.
Yep.
We, as two nerdy white people, we have to, boost the signal as much as possible, and you know, um, lift our fellow people up. We have to talk about it wherever we can and try to get the word out that this is absolutely wrong and evil and cruel, and this sort of behavior has gone on for hundreds of years, and it is sickening and disgusting and unbelievable.
Yes.
So thank you for doing your part. I want to go to the protest so bad. I want to join. I am I'm honestly terrified to do so because my biology, my physiology is shit. I have with my asthma is of a severity that with the pandemic still going on, that's scary enough, and then um, being out there with possible fires, and if I'm tear gassed once, I'm done. Like, I'm out of commission. That's it. That is it for me.
But you can always make donations.
Absolutely.
Which is a good way to help if you can't physically be there.
Absolutely. And I've been tweeting and Facebooking and Instagramming a lot of resources on that. And I will be posting those same resources in the notes of this show and as the show is going out. So again, trying to boost the signal as much as possible. For sure. All right, let's both take a little breath, a little sigh.
Right.
You are let's jump right into it. You are phenomenally multi-talented. You are an actor, a singer, a musician. You play several instruments. You wrote, produced, and directed a very cool little parody music video that I enjoyed so much, and you got to perform on the biggest stage in all the land on America's Got Talent, and which is where I found you. And as I was saying to you before, I am just overjoyed by parody, by satire. I'm Weird Al's number one fan. You know, his work has always inspired me. So that kind of musical talent is is awesome. How did you? I know, as I was going down your Instagram, you've got quite a lot of mileage out of that whoopee cushion costume. You used it for
Yeah.
Halloween, and used it on Let's Make a Deal.
Yeah.
That's so great. How long have you had that costume?
I've had that for about 3 years. I got it for Let's Make a Deal because I knew I was attending the show, and anyone who's seen the show knows that everybody dresses in costume. And I was like, oh, I have the perfect costume. So I'm on my way to buy it, and this was in October, and I was like, oh, I should wear this for Halloween. But wait, if I put an old person wig and glasses with this whoopee cushion costume, I can be an old fart. And then I laughed about that for a solid, even 3 years later, I'm like, yeah, I really peaked with that. Is that?
Well done. Yeah, yeah.
I'm sure my friends are starting to think I'm just like a one-hit wonder with this, but that's okay. One trick pony, one fart pony, whatever you want to call it.
Listen, there have been a lot of acts that have played the one hit wonder card, you know, for a long time.
Yeah.
One of my other favorite artists, Tiffany, who was a previous guest on this show, I'll pick that name up. She, you know, her claim to fame is I think we're alone now, and she's still performing it. So.
Nice.
Mm-hmm. So you're learning guitar, and you've picked up ukulele. How are the guitar lessons going, or how is the guitar learning going?
How's my what?
How's the guitar playing going?
Oh, the guitar playing is below average. I play guitar because my dad had a guitar. My dad knows one song on guitar, and once a year he pulls it out and he's like, I play guitar, and I'll play that for like an hour. So he had two guitars. He gave me one. I was like, great, I play guitar. So now I have one song that I play on guitar, and I pull out my guitar and I play my one song. But I'm trying to actually use some YouTube videos and try to learn some chords and be a bit more proficient. But I've played ukulele for about 8 years. I've played piano for, I don't know, about 25 years or so.
Wow.
So.
Wow. So most of your life, are both of your parents musically inclined? Then obviously your father is.
Yeah, I mean he has his one guitar song, which is really solid. So if
he's got it down.
Music, then yeah, absolutely, he's super musical. And my mom played piano growing up, so we had a piano in the house. And she plays a few songs still. But neither of them are in the arts. My dad is retired now. He was an executive director for the Southeast Kansas Mental Health Centers for a while. Law degree and an undergrad in psychology, and then my mom is a nurse.
Wow. So you came from a very good crop then. Lots of that's incredible. I have always been envious of people who have a piano in their house. I always wanted to play piano. That's not to say that I never had access. I could have paid for lessons, I suppose, but I always wanted that aesthetic of, you know, living in a place that had a piano in it. So maybe someday.
Yeah, it was definitely really nice. I mean, it was my great grandparents' piano.
Wow.
My great grandparents built the house that I grew up in.
So wow, that's incredible. Built it with
Yeah.
their own hands. Wow.
Yeah. I think so. I don't know. Maybe they designed it and paid people. But let's go with the story that they built it with their own hands. I love that. I love that journey for them.
Craftsman. Craftsman all the
Yeah.
way. Wow. Um, I know you can't. I know you mentioned some of your AGT experience was top secret. What can you talk about as far as like working on the show? How was that experience? How was uh, meeting Terry? Tell me all about
Yeah.
it.
I'm just like thinking about my contract. I'm like, what can I say? Because obviously, anytime you work on any show, there are things you
Oh
can and
yeah,
can't say.
those darn NDAs. I've
Yep.
dealt with them plenty of times.
But the actual doing of it was so much fun. I mean, I love being in such a professional environment. Everybody was amazing. Terry Crews is exactly the person that you see on TV. Um, he's very energetic. He's super nice. He's very funny, and I think he does a really good job of having contestants be at ease and feel good about going out on stage. And then actually on stage, I mean, it's funny because you're performing for like a couple thousand people who are there live. I was lucky that I got in before they cut the live audience.
Oh wow.
Really good because I think the audience really helped feed the performance. I mean, we only, obviously I got 4 X's. The judges didn't quite get it and think it was as funny as I thought it was. That's okay.
Agreed. I thought I think it's amazing and hilarious, honestly.
Thanks. Yeah, I'm a dancing whoopee cushion. The whole story is that there is actually like a story to it. It's that I'm a whoopee cushion who's embarrassed about her own farts and finds a way to overcome that and become her true self, which you can see on my YouTube channel. I posted the full thing.
I saw it.
Yeah, the one that wasn't seen. So it's a real journey, deep, it's spiritual.
Right. Wow. A real Homer's Odyssey.
My favorite thing to say about it is that there is a methane to the madness.
I love it.
Exactly. And full of puns and full of hot air. What can you do?
What is that the act that you had planned from the beginning? Did you have a few others that you were juggling around that you might use?
No, it was just that one.
Cool.
I was like, this is it. This is the moment that will be great. Because I was dancing the Charleston. I do a lot of dancing, and I'm part of this 1920s dance crew called the Hollywood It Girls. So we perform around the city. So I do a lot of different styles of dance, but that's one of my favorite. And I started the idea of this routine after a rehearsal around Halloween. I just was like, oh, I'm just going to put on this whoopee cushion and dance the Charleston because I think that's funny. And then somebody actually saw it on Instagram and they suggested that I audition for America's Got Talent. And I was like, okay, well, now it needs a story. Like, now it has to go somewhere.
Right. You gotta create a whole thing just in case they, they go back and do the whole backstory because you always know when they do that whole setup. I mean, they're not gonna spend all of this money and send the crew out to tape BTS and all that if they're not gonna really feature it. And usually it's to get you to cry. I mean, I do love those pieces. I've been audience. I did audience for the show a couple times. Yeah, it was really fun. I agree with you on on Terry. What a he's such a he's such a sweet guy.
Yeah, I think it's a really fun show to watch. I was really fortunate my parents actually came out from Kansas so that they could watch it
That's so
live
awesome.
and cheer along. So that was nice because they haven't been out here since I moved 3 years ago. So it's like, hey, welcome. Like, I'm going to fart on stage now. This is what I'm doing here in LA. Aren't you so proud? And you know what? They are. And I'm actually interviewing with my local small town newspaper tomorrow
That's great.
because town is like, hey, you were on TV as a whoopee cushion for a few seconds. That's a big deal to us. And I'm like, thank you so much for your validation. Please keep it coming. You can pay it in full. I don't mind.
That's so great. It's always nice when the hometown paper reaches out to you.
Yeah, I love being from a small town because there's just so much support that comes in multiple ways, and people get really hyped about everything you do. So,
Mine too. I do have to hand it to them. The Centralia Sentinel reached out to me a few months ago about some dumb thing that I did, and I was like, "Oh, well, cool, thanks." Yeah, it's always pretty neat when they do that. Um, I, I it's so cool that you got to do that. I've never officially auditioned for AGT, although, well, I've I've had some producers reach out to me before, but I guess I don't know, they didn't think my act was up to par. Um,
well, you should get a new act and audition it this year. You know, I saw online that they just opened up auditions for next season.
oh, really?
So right now you could make an audition tape,
Great.
send it
I'll hit
in.
them up.
Yeah, be like a dancing cockroach or something. That'd be fun.
Well, I have a unicorn hat. Maybe I could
Oh,
put
well,
that to use
that
somehow.
sounds magical.
It is
You
very
what?
magical. Yeah. And super horny. Like,
Yeah, makes sense.
yeah.
Look, if they'll take me, they'll take anyone. Let's be honest.
I've seen so I mean that guy I love that guy too who just keeps coming back. He has there's no
Oh, so
stopping him. Yeah, Sethward. Yeah,
yeah,
with the giant giraffe and the walrus and I tweeted him too. I was like, yeah, you really sealed the deal out there. It's really I mean that guy, you got to applaud that kind of guy, man. It just won't
yeah.
stop. Fell right off the
He
stage. Unbelievable.
he's a great performance artist. You can find him. I follow him on Instagram. I think it's just under Sethward. He's fun.
Yeah, that dude just seems like a full party. um, I want to talk about your scare acting days too. You did some work at for Zombie Joe's. We did so much. We had so much of this conversation via text before we ever got to this actual Zoom meeting. I think we
Yep.
sort of ruined ourselves for.
Is this
We already talked about all the good stuff before we ever even got here. That's okay.
is this how you find all of your guests? You just tweet at them. You're like, hey, what's up?
I really do. I got to tell you, I am 100% shameless. I've tweeted people. I've dropped into their DMs on Instagram. I mean, I do try to go the professional route and reach out to their publicists and managers and things of that nature. You know, whatever contacts I can find on IMDb Pro. But listen, I'm just some nerdy schmo doing this dumb, silly show. So like I have zero celebrity power. I'm not Dax Shepard or Anna Faris. So I gotta use whatever techniques I can. So I have reached out to Terry Crews before, and his publicist just completely ignored me. What else should I expect? But I like to have the people on who are really making it happen, right? I mean, there are you can pay if you have money, you can be an influencer. You know, if you're able to market yourself appropriately. I mean, if I had Dak Shepard money, you know, I would probably, I mean, maybe I would be in the top 50 on Apple Podcasts. I don't know. Meanwhile, I gotta do whatever I can to, bring on engaging, fun, interesting people.
Yeah.
So yeah, actually, I had the great Janet Varney on from Twitter. I tweeted at her incessantly, and she's like, "Fine, I'll do it already. Shut up, Jesus." No, actually, she was incredibly, unbelievably sweet. I don't know if you know Janet Varney. She is a huge improver. She does the lots of shows with Largo. She has her own podcast called the JV Club. She does a lot of. Uh, she's a UCBer, I believe, and just she's super cool. She was also on You're the Worst. It's one of my favorite shows from FX. Anyway, yes, totally shameless.
Nice. Yeah, you messaged me, and I was just like, yeah, seems legit. Here's my phone number. Guess we're friends now.
Yeah, you were very you just jumped right in. That's what I love.
I
Thank
mean,
you
I
for
checked to make sure that you really had a podcast because I was like, okay, hey, internet stranger. Yeah, I was
right.
like, I don't know, whatever. Cool, here you go.
It doesn't take much to sleuth me out. I'm
Yeah,
I try to be everywhere just for those purposes, so that
good.
people can vet me. And somehow they still end up here despite all. Which episode did you listen to? You said you were listening to an episode.
Yeah,
I'm just curious. What's that?
I listened to your most recent one, the last
Oh,
one you
okay.
posted.
What Zanib?
Yes.
She's a hoot, right?
Yeah. I'll have to check out her podcast. I've only recently gotten into podcasting.
Isn't it great? What are you
It
into?
is.
What rabbit hole did you find yourself in?
Finances and
Really?
learning about deserts in America. That's what I've been listening to lately.
What are the Deserts in America podcasts? I'm very curious.
It's following imperfect produce. They talk about food banks and how they're trying to work in this pandemic and what people need right now. So that was really interesting, and to find out what they're actually asking for and how donating money is better than donating food right now, and food waste in America, and yeah, lots of stuff like that. It's really interesting.
That's very cool. I'll have to check that out. I'm intrigued by that. It is really disgusting how much we waste. We are an incredibly, unbelievably wasteful society all around. Even during this pandemic, like I, I've been on so many sets where I've just seen tables and tables of really expensive food, just sitting there for hours and hours and hours. And they throw that away, they just get rid of it. And then they won't give it to the homeless either, because there's a whole Los Angeles ordinance that they're not supposed to do that, which is equally disgusting. Give it to the homeless people, man. They're all over the place. I've got a whole, there are homeless people in every direction of where I live, and I try to. I've left things for them outside their tents and stuff. I mean, I've experienced it myself, and it's no bueno, no bueno at all.
Yeah, it was a really interesting one I just recently listened to, talking about how we have enough food to feed everyone. It's a problem of access to that food and
That's
access
right.
to the right foods.
That's right. That's
And
absolutely
if
right.
you donate food, they were saying to give things that are staples instead of just vegetables and stuff like that. But they need, the rice, the mesa, stuff like that, the pastas,
Right.
things like that. But that money is the best thing people can give them, because then they're able to get more for your dollar than what you can buy at Safeway. They can take that higher up and get more product for less money.
Absolutely. And hot food too. That
Yeah.
they have immediate access to hot food that way. And there are, there's lots of great resources like well, yeah, you're absolutely right. Yeah.
I forgot what we were talking about.
It doesn't matter.
Yes.
No, we're just talking. That's the whole thing. This is just a conversation that happens to be recorded.
We were talking about podcasts.
Yeah, about podcasts. That's so interesting. I like your choice of direction on the podcast. So you haven't gotten into any of the true crime or the comedy podcasts yet? Not that kind of girl. Okay.
What are some of your favorites? What do you like listening to?
I listen to all stupid, ridiculous stuff. I listen to a lot of the comedy podcasts, and I listen to Anna Faris's Unqualified. The aforementioned Dax Shepard. He has a podcast called Armchair Expert. Michael Rosenblum's Inside of You. I listen to a lot of mostly the comedians' podcasts, stuff like that. Because, when I am walking around, on my little short walks, I just want something fun in my ears. Although there's also an incredibly amazing podcast called Ologies by my friend Ollie Ward, that in which she talks with ologists from all across a number of disciplines. And if you are just, if people and animals and the way things work interest you, it's a podcast to listen to for sure.
Absolutely. Actually, I was thinking about getting a second degree in entomology, the study
Really?
of insects, just for fun. But school is less than cheap, so having a just for fun degree is a privilege that I am not afforded at this moment.
I hear that.
But someday, just because I would like to have a second degree either in entomology or in zoology. So I think bugs are really interesting. If I find one in my house, I always take it outside, no matter what it is.
Bravo.
Bravo. They look up. I like identifying spiders as well. I like to study them and watch them.
Oh, wow. Cool.
Yeah.
I do that too. I always take them outside. They're not hurting anything. I mean, they may be a little scary, but they didn't do anything to me, so they're all good. That's awesome. What have you had that interest? Was that something that you found when you were little? Is that new?
No.
Do you like?
That's a huge arachnophobe. And then before I moved to LA, I traveled the world for 3 years, and during that time I lived in Australia, and I stayed in this house with hippies, and we were not allowed to kill anything.
I love it.
I mean, I tried to take things outside. I just am more of a person to kind of see a spider and approach it from a distance, or have somebody else come in and take it outside. But when I was living in Australia, we weren't allowed to kill anything, and we had some massive spiders. I mean, the huntsman, those huge,
I do. They're no joke.
With my hands as though anyone on a podcast can see them. It was big.
I'll take a screenshot and I'll put that as the official picture for the for the
Perfect.
episode, so they'll know exactly what you're talking about.
Perfect. Yeah, so this big ass spider, right, lived in our kitchen, so I named him Bill. And he just hung out, and I was like, okay, Bill, like, you stay over there, I'll be over here. We're great. Don't move. As long as I can see you, we can be friends. And he was mostly just, the kitchen Bill. And then we had a funnel web spider in our bathroom.
Oh.
It was a Victorian funnel web, which is just, to distinguish. The Sydney funnel web is a really, really deadly spider.
It wore a very large ball gown.
Yeah, it's important
as they do.
to be fancy if you're an arachnid. And I named her Lillian, and every day I would go in and just observe her. And, I started Googling spiders and the type of spiders they were. And the more I found out about them, the more interested I was by them. And so that's kind of how I've approached bugs ever since. And anything that's creepy and crawly, I try and learn about it. And I'm like, wow, you're actually a really fascinating living mechanism. And so I'm on TikTok now, and so I've started making videos where I'll tell people about spiders or about moths or cockroaches or just kind of whatever it is that I find. And I'm like, let's talk about why this thing is cool.
That's awesome. I will subscribe to your TikTok because I want to check that out.
Oh, thanks. So I'm trying to educate the youth.
I'm on there, but only barely. It's a strange world, TikTok.
I know. And I'm just here. Everybody's like, look at my cool dance. I'm like, look at my cool bug. Want to see how it works? Neat.
What's been your favorite bug to sort of? Obviously, you've found some really cool spiders. Like, what's another cool bug that you've really been interested in?
I mean, I'm very into butterflies because they're butterflies, and
Absolutely.
I think that's pretty self-explanatory. I mean, it's a freaking butterfly. Like, what's not to love about it?
Absolutely.
Moths are too, though. Those are pretty interesting. I like roly-polies.
I love roly-polies.
Look at this. I think worms are really interesting in what they do for our soil. I've been getting into gardening during the quarantine.
Wow.
And I'm learning about composting so that I can be more self-sufficient. And there is a whole science to composting.
Oh yeah,
it's
absolutely.
Really, really interesting. I'm not good at it yet, but I'm working on it. This is my second attempt at composting. I tried it 3 years ago. It didn't work out. I say that like it's an ex-boyfriend or something. Like, yeah,
I sort of just kicked him to the curb.
Oh. What?
Well, oh, hang on a second.
Okay.
All right, there we go. Had to make sure everything was still recording. I did one of those things in a previous interview where I thought I had pressed the button and I did not press the button. And then my guest got very angry with me because she was like, well, I want to see, send me a video clip. And I was like, I'd love to do that, but I forgot. But it's definitely recording. I'm looking at it now.
I now realize the video has been recording this whole time. That's hilarious. I was just like, oh, it's fine. Like, it's a podcast, whatever. And now you have this all.
Yeah, I want my viewing audience of 3 to be able to see and hear all of you. So.
What if you hadn't even hit record and we were just like chit chatting this whole time?
Well, that's what I did with the previous. And then I felt so bad because I really did think that I pressed the button, and I even checked it. I looked at it and I thought it was recording, and it wasn't because I didn't actually press it. So Oops.
I'm
Um,
really your struggles.
that's so wonderful that you're learning so much. You're taking yourself on all of these different intellectual journeys, um, upgrading your knowledge base. That's so awesome. I'm fascinated by insects and bugs too, and I've always I love snakes. I really do. I don't find them scary. I never have. Maybe that's just a. I used to have a lot of snakes crawling around outside my house in southern Illinois. Just, you know, they were just around. We had a huge backyard, and I don't know. I find them really cool. I love lizards.
Mhm.
I like hanging out with lizards. They're just chill, you know.
Yeah, animals are so interesting. I love them. I've been I've been vegan for about 2 years now. But it was when I was 15 that I decided to be vegetarian. But even before that, like when I was little, like I tried to be vegetarian. I think I was like 7 when I first was like, no more. I don't want to eat cows. And my mom's like, we're having hamburgers for dinner. So I was like, yep, gonna have that then.
Deal with it. Yep. Yeah.
But I've always been animals and just learning about them, loving them, and just wanting to teach people about them. I'm like, look at this thing in nature. Isn't it neat? I love it. I actually one day would like to have my own nature show. I think a lot of men
Oh,
do. And I think that there are not enough female nature hosts.
agreed.
And I'm not gonna do one where I like bother the things. I just want to observe things from a distance and
Right.
talk about them. I mean, there's some great ones where people are like, I'm going to get stung by this hornet. And I'm like, I am not. But thank you for, letting us know how that felt.
Are you allergic to any bugs that you're aware of?
Not that I know of.
I found
I
out.
guess,
What? Sorry?
but I said, I guess we'll find out. Like, the more I go into nature,
As you're.
I'm allergic to anything. Just kidding. My whole face swept up. Amazing.
I'm going to walk into this swarm of bees. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah. If I just have a really gentle energy, they'll accept that and just not sting me. It's amazing, right? So
Wouldn't
that's how
that.
nature works.
Absolutely. Uh, I. uh, I found out that I guess I'm not allergic to bees because while I was doing a performance of LA Haunted Hayride last year, in costume, no doubt, I sat down on a hay bale and a bee stung me right in the fingernail, just just right in there.
Ah,
Uh, like crawled up my costume. I was like, and I'm an observer. I was like, oh cool, a bee, and it was like, yeah, fuck you. You just sat on me, and just right in there. And I mean, you know, it got pretty swollen, but thankfully there wasn't any pain or anything. So I guess I'm immune.
yeah, I've never been stung by a bee, actually.
That's
Knock
good.
on wood.
I'll
They
knock
go,
for
they just swarm me. I'm like, never mind, I take that.
you.
All right. But yeah, haunted hayride. That is a great full circle to what started this little segment. So the haunts.
Yes. Yeah. Let's talk
Haunting.
about it.
Yeah.
So yeah, you did. You were. Yeah. Tell me all about your character in Zombie Joe's.
Yeah, so every year Zombie Joe's Underground in North Hollywood does this really cool show called Urban Death, and it's a series of vignettes. They last from like 10 seconds to a minute or so. And the whole show is about 20 minutes. And when you come into the theater, you walk through a haunted maze, and then you see the show, and then you walk back through a different maze.
Fantastic.
So we switched off between um, being in the maze and being in the show. Each night was different. We did like 5 shows a night, I think. And it's a very popular show. Anybody who likes Haunt should see this. It was named one of the top 10 things to see around Halloween time last year by a variety of people. We were in the LA Times. That was cool.
Awesome. Yeah,
and yeah, we all pitch in to write the different vignettes. Some are funny, some are more gross, some are like jump scares.
Sure, you gotta have that variety all thrown in there. That's so awesome that you got to be involved in all of the process.
Yeah, and because we had 2 casts, each night was slightly different. So some of the pieces were the same, but some of them were unique to the certain casts.
That's so awesome. Uh, I had such a blast working with the haunted hayride too. Just um, my I did it 2 years in a row. The first year I played Charlie Manson, and then I was like, well, the I had one of those full silicone masks, and my damn asthma just it got to be too much inside of that head every single night. It's a lot of pressure and a lot of energy, a lot of inertia going on. And I was in the trick or treat area, and I was at the end of it, so I had my own little house, and it was so, of course it's the dirt ground, so every time the guests come through, they're kicking up the dirt. So I'm already, having trouble breathing being inside of this thing. And my listeners can't see me. I'm holding my face like I have the mask on, but um, my breathing is already quite limited, and then the dust is blowing up in there, and it was a whole thing. So I ended up changing to a different character that I called the Boogeyman, that had this really creepy face with blood dripping eyes. And then last year I was a character named Darren Kolchak, and it was really amazing because I was a part of um, these speaking characters. We were all full speaking characters that were part of the roaming like towns people, and it was so great because we could be fully interactive and not only talk with the guests, scare the crap out of them, but with each other and stuff. It was really awesome. Had
What part of town is Haunted Hayride?
Griffith Park.
Oh, cool. Okay, I've heard of it, but I've never gone.
Hmm. Yeah. So, how long did you say you've been doing that?
Last year was my first year.
That's so
Actually,
great.
doing so in September, I was doing Midsummer Night's Dream. I'm playing Helena in that, and a couple of rehearsals in, and they're like, "Hey, do you want to do this show? We don't really know how to explain it, but it's really cool." And I was like, "Yeah, okay, sure." So I actually didn't really know anything about it going in. They just said it was cool, so I was like, "Yeah, all right, cool, let's do it."
I love
And
those kind of shows when you just get to jump right into it.
yeah, it was an experience, and it was a lot of fun. And it's cool. We have a lot of celebrities who come every night.
We did
They
too.
usually sell out all their tickets. Um, it's great, and the people I worked with were really cool. And so now I'm actually doing another Zombie Joe show, which will be my first one since Urban Death,
Awesome.
and it's a monologue play where we all write 7 to 10 minute monologues, and they do this show every year as well. It's called Astroglide. It actually starts next week on either Thursday or Friday, I think.
Very
or
cool.
This week, next week, June, first week of June. We're in
Yes.
quarantine.
Yeah, who knows? It doesn't matter. We're all, yeah. Everything is
Right.
topsy-turvy
Like,
right now.
Today is.
Yeah,
Actually,
tomorrow
no,
is
what day?
June. It's so weird. Yeah, tomorrow's the first day of June. Yeah.
Amazing. I was like, today's
I'm sorry.
Friday.
Today is the first day of June. Because this episode will come out tomorrow.
I got so confused. I was like, shoot, I need to pay my rent. I gotta go.
Wait a minute. I'll be right back.
After a break from our sponsors.
That's right.
But yeah, so my piece is the personification of ADHD, and I like to think of it as a theater experience. It is helping the audience experience what having ADHD feels like. But my first draft was me doing a lot of explaining, and we had gotten 3 drafts in, and I messaged my director, and I was like, you know what? This piece sucks, and I hate it. I'm completely redoing it. I'll have a new thing to you later, like tomorrow. And he's like, okay, yeah, I see where you're coming from. And I was like, yeah, it's okay. You know it sucks. I know it sucks. It's boring as shit. We're just going to do it again. It's my first time writing, and I think that was really good to have those drafts that were not good. Because for me, I've had times of not starting projects if I don't think they're going to be perfect, because I'm a bit of a perfectionist. So being able to say, hey, I made something that sucked, and now I've turned it into something I'm really, really proud of, and that other people think is really cool, that's good for my soul. To be like, it's okay to be bad at things. Do that. Do more of that, and then get better at them.
Absolutely. It's all part of the journey. And it's such a magical feeling when you get to that point where you do have that thing that you're really proud of. And yeah, you gotta, it takes a lot of trash to get to the treasure.
Yeah.
Well, Eileen, I think we're about at time. Thank you so much for joining me on this ridiculous show. We, there are a lot of very serious things going on in the world, and it helps to have a bit of a respite, a bit of an escape, a bit of a, something silly and dumb to, put out there in the world. And I applaud you on all of your great work, and you're doing a lot of great things right now. And I subscribe to your YouTube, and I look forward to all of the silly fun things that you're going to be doing in the future. And I hope to see you back on AGT doing something. Yeah.
Thanks.
Where
Having me. I post a lot of my stuff. I'm working on new parodies and new bits of writing, trying to create a lot more content, especially right now. And so I'm putting those on my YouTube, but also on my Instagram. I post a lot of stuff, which is just at Eileen.Chase. And on Twitter, I'm starting to get back into Twitter, which I haven't done since high school. So I'm like, I don't know. I do visual mediums. You want me to? Here, words. Think I'm funny. Here's a retweet of somebody else.
You had some cool stuff on your Twitter. I did look. And listeners, you should definitely check out all of Eileen's work across all of the places, because yeah, you're really doing a lot of great fun things. So yeah, thank you so much for joining me and doing this this dumb show. It's really fun.
Those aren't jack. They're my spirit fingers.
I love it.
These are not spirit fingers.
These are spirit fingers. That's right.
But this really funny anyone listening will be like, I don't know what
I
just
have
happened.
no idea what just happened. They'll know the reference, though, because that's what this show is all about, is dumb pop culture references. Thank you so much, Eileen, for joining me. Be safe out there. If you decide to go back to the protest, be vigilant, and just watch out for yourself and enjoy the rest of your weekend.
Thank you. You too. Happy Sunday or Monday, depending on how you want to edit that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks so much. See you later.
Remember, you can follow me, as always, across all the places at Devlin Wilder. That's DEVLINWILDER. And Faux Real at Faux Real Pod. That's FAUXREALPOD. That's it for this one. See you on the next one.